Oh, hey guys. Well, as you are probably guessing right now, we made it to the farm. We moved in, I think, 5 days ago, and we've been busy ever since, unpacking all of our stuff, getting used to the land, exploring things a bit. And while I'd be happy to sit here and talk to you about our experience for the next 5 minutes, I figured it'd be a lot more entertaining if I just showed you around the place. So, why don't we start with the land and take a walk? Let's go. I figured the best place to start with the land tour is on the entry driveway. As you can see, it's nothing too special, just a gravel strip that goes right into our land. Off to the side, you can see our pasture, our front pasture, which I'll be getting to here in a minute. But let's walk on up. There's our house off to the right, little brick farmhouse, which I will also explore in a little while, but for now, let's just keep walking. Even though this is technically the back of our house, we kind of think of this as the main area where we unload and do all of everything. This is kind of our front porch, really. The very first thing that you see here is this rickety old carport. If nothing else, you can say that it has character. But it does the trick. It covers our car and it covers the riding lawnmower, which is all that we're asking it to do. The next thing that's immediately noticeable is a couple of old rickety outbuildings. We have a shed. As you can see, there's a lot of junk in here that needs to be cleared away, which will be a recurrent theme in this property tour, junk that needs to be cleared away. And of course, the barn. Now, there's three primary things going on with this barn. Number one, there is so much junk in here, just random industrial flotsam and old agricultural equipment. Wood, some of it's good, some of it's bad. All of it needs to be cleared away or at least stored somewhere else. Number two, there's some structural issues that I'm a little worried about. Things like holes in the roof and beams that aren't completely solid. Finally, as with the shed back there in the carport, this place is wired up for electricity, but it doesn't work. So eventually we'll need to get that figured out. Whether we get an electrician out here or not is a bridge we'll have to cross when we get there. Let's walk up into the hayloft. As you can see, we've got nothing but wood, some of it good, some of it bad. Hay, probably 1 million hornets' nests, and some metal paneling. There's a lot up here, old windows. There's a lot to sort through and a lot of junk to clear. If nothing else, I'll have plenty of projects to keep me busy. To be honest, I haven't even walked through all of these stalls. I think there's 3 or 4. I haven't walked through all of them, so why don't we go check them out? There's old junk, old barbed wire, what looks like pool chemicals, some sort of spreader, and lots of hornets' nests, or old hornets' nests at least. And what looks like a bird's nest up there. Door number 2. Looks like we got lots of plate glass, old windows in here. Just a bunch of junk. More hornets' nests. They all look deactivated, thankfully. What looks like an old feeding window for a horse or a cow. Right out here. I can't wait to use these as my before shots after I fix this up. That might be some time, but again, as I mentioned upstairs in the hayloft, I've got nothing but projects in front of me. More hornets' nests. Stall door number 3. Now, what do we have here? Styrofoam, tubing, and what looks like a power washer. A power washer, as my neighbor Frank used to say. Another feeding window. Looks like an animal hole down here. We want animals in this barn, but just not varmints. Look at this old place. Stall number 4. This door doesn't really work, but there is a very convenient hole in the front here that we can look in. Looks like old cabinetry, which I might be able to reuse in some capacity, but in the meantime just serves as something I will probably need to get rid of and will annoy me. You can see the first wing, the north-facing wing. There's a bunch of old wood hanging out. But all in all, it's a fairly solid piece of construction, at least on this side. The beams seem to be in pretty good shape, and the roof, while it's rusty on top, does seem to be doing its job of roofing. I'm actually really excited about this little patio area because I could do a lot of things under here. Probably put fence around it and make it some sort of animal pen. Now, as we walk out of the north patio, the north wing, the north overhang, we can go to the south overhang, which isn't in nearly as good a shape as that one. There is a lot more lumber under here. A lot of this is in good condition. I've already used some of it for some projects, but it is a lot to clear out. Some kind of wire on this spool. I'm not sure what. Is this maybe electrical wire? Maybe I can sell it. One thing that's kind of a bummer is some of these posts aren't even holding this roof up. As you can see, I'm just shaking it. It's not even making contact with the roof. Another issue is this one has a lot of open sky. I'll need to put a lot of steel or tin paneling up there to cover these up once I fix it. Immediately to the south of the barn and our house is the pasture. The front pasture, at least. I'd say that we have roughly 2 acres here, maybe 1.5 acres, of just grass. It's a south-facing slope here, so there's a lot that we can do. Obviously, we're going to run animals out here. I'm thinking pastured birds, but eventually I'd like to grow some crops here as well. Till out some land. I'm thinking cabbage somewhere out here. Let's walk around it. One of the features that I really like about this property is this strip of woods that separates our land from the main road. While we do have a lot of woods on the north side of our property, it's nice to have this extra little slice. There's a lot that we can do here too, like run pigs perhaps, or goats one day. Now, as much as I love the south pasture of our property, it's open, it's grassy, there's a lot of potential with it. I'm actually really excited about the north end of our property as well, which is mostly woods, but there are some open paddocks and groves that can be used for a lot of different things. Let's go check them out. There's essentially just a little opening that goes into the woods here, and that opening is blocked off by this burn pit. We haven't used the burn pit yet, but we are adding a lot of fuel for it with these old twigs and brush that we've cleared out and piled on top of it. So hopefully we'll get a nice big burn going here pretty soon. Once you pass the burn pit, then you enter the first little wooded grove. It's a little overgrown right now, but it's still just a really cool spot. Like I mentioned, down on the south end of the property, there's a lot of good spots for animals like pigs and goats, and I think this would also fit the bill as well. Maybe put some chickens through here. Now this is one way back into the woods, but this is still a path that we haven't really cleared out that much yet, so I'm gonna go this way instead. Now once you walk into these woods, one of the very first things that you noticed off on the right is a little depression, a little depressed area where it looks like an old pond used to be. And it turns out that is the case. There used to be an old pond running through here. We think there might be a spring somewhere in here that we'd like to uncork, but we still need to find it. It would be nice to get that going again. Now I think this particular lane used to be a 2-track for 4-wheelers or maybe even pickup trucks in the past, but in the meantime we're just treating it as a little path through our woods. Maybe in the future we can turn it into an easement if some family moves on to the backland. Now there's a couple of more little paddocks and groves back here that I'm very excited about. But one of the main things that excites me are these back pastures. I'd say there's a good 4 or maybe even 5 acres worth of back pasture back here behind these woods. A lot of it will need to be cleared away. There's some old trees, but they're really worth exploring. Now we don't technically own these back pastures. They're still owned by the person that sold us our house and our property. But our fingers are crossed because we're talking with them about potentially picking this land up, which would be a major, major blessing if we were able to. There's so much potential in these back pastures and these back acres. There's just so much cool stuff back here, so much to explore and see, and ultimately a lot of potential. I can see home sites here for family. I can see animal pastures. I can see places to grow food. I can't be too picky though. We were able to get some really good land on our own, and I can't start lusting after more. I need to work on my own plot of land before I think about the adjacent land and wanting that. I'm very lucky. We're very blessed to have what we do have. One other thing to consider as I walk around, and that I need to remind myself about, is that all of this is just blank canvas. I'll see a messy field or a barn that's a disaster zone and get really discouraged. But I can't look at it like that. I need to look at it as a starting point. I need to look at it as the raw material from which I can make something cool out of. I have to admit it's been really overwhelming moving here as we've looked around and seen all the projects that we need to take on and all the work that we need to do. But I think I may have said it in the first or second video. That's what we signed up for. That's what we want, is to get busy with projects. It's going to be a lifelong thing. Holly and I aren't getting any younger. We're both in our 30s, but we're not old fogies either. We still have time to do a lot of work here. And that's our plan, ultimately, is to do a lot of work. When we bought this homestead, we bought it with the knowledge that it wouldn't be easy. So even though it can be discouraging looking at all the work that needs to be done, ultimately it makes me really excited.